Hello everyone watching at home. Welcome to Adelaide Eternal. We are bringing you the monthly challenge. This is the month of May and we have the Highlander challenge for you. I'm Sarven McLinton and in the booth with me, that's Beckett Wolfe, who's been holding a sneeze, and we'll just keep going because that was
this is attempt number 3.
He's struggled with the sneezes, so almost as sneezy as my cat. So let's check out a match between two players in the Adelaide Eternal Gauntlet. We have Ryan Parry, who's been rocking tempo decks for the last about a year or so, and we have Michael Hearn on the left, who's been rocking things that just fold to null rod. So artifact-based things.
Big Tezz's Robot Emporium.
Yeah. Well, this is Michael Hearn on the screen. He's going to be bringing you Big Tezz's Robot Emporium. He's in our Hall of Heroes, and he's got a win to his name. And let's check out his list, which is all about Tezzeret, and should I say multiple Tezzerets. And these Tezzerets are the glue that stick the deck together, along with 7 other Planeswalkers. Dakfayden, Daretti, Karn, Tezzeret. Wow, it's all multiples, isn't it? It's just like some kind of clone Planeswalkers going on here. And the rest of the deck is all about busted artifacts. So tinker into Blightsteel Colossus. I mean, Inkwell Leviathan.
He's got Sundering Titan as well.
Sundering Titan. How about Kuldotha Forgemaster into any of those things?
Wormcoil Engine.
How about Phyrexian Metamorph your Trino Nemesis? Wow, when your opponent's Trino Nemesis is worse than pretty much every creature you could dish out, because your things are 7-11 trampling Highlander walking beasts.
I also really like Lightning Greaves in the list. I think, it's always like a 75th, 76th sort of card. People want to play it but don't find the space for. It's pretty cool, like when you can hasty swing a big boy or protect an important guy, or even like...
Or Forge Master. You just put it on the Forge Master and activate it straight away.
Yeah.
And you could sack the Lightning Greaves, or you can keep it around and put it on the thing you just found, which is a Blightsteel.
Is he playing Metalworker? I really like the idea of like a hasty Metalworker coming down and then like getting a huge amount of mana and then using that mana to play a Sundering Titan and then equipping the Sundering Titan and swinging. It's like bang out of nowhere. Is he playing the Metalworker?
So he's not under the creatures section. Now, I think there's a rationale to it, and that is because unless you've got the haste equipment, basically the Metalworker almost always dies to everything. Whereas all of his other creatures are really, really robust. Ignore Goblin Welder because it's just a busted card anyway. But everything else just does something really, really powerful, is massive, like a Wormcoil Engine. So unlike your powerful mana 1 turn later, this Wormcoil Engine just gets cast and you go, hey, deal with this. They deal with it. You got 2 more little wormy boys. Seems strong. The rest of the deck is just, mana.
Rocks, yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of rocks.
And he's got the Sword of the Mink combo in there as well.
Yeah, I love it. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, especially since he's also got the Antiquities War as an alternate win comp.
Cut's good. And I know Michael was raving about it as well. So.
Oh, it's sweet. There's been quite a few questions about the Antiquities War in the past on Facebook and Discord. Like, has anyone built something with this? And this is probably the deck I'd point to as a really good example of sheer power level. You're playing 3 colours and artifacts. You're not going economical. People try to go Antiquities War, mono blue with the brown splash, the colourless splash, the wingdings. But the war itself in a deck like this, man, it is disgusting.
What are wingdings?
Yeah, wingdings. The Thought-Not-Seer et al. They cast for wingdings. So let's skip over to a deck that definitely has no wingdings in it.
What?
This is Ryan Parry's list. Ryan is on Hootie and the Bugfish. So Hootie and the Bugfish is a bug tempo deck. So what do you call that? Not Golgari. Sultai. Is that what it's called?
Sure.
So yeah, whatever that is. So it's bug tempo. And it's basically...
We're so elitist,
Sav. I've always called it this name ever since I've started Magic. And then someone before that's going to be talking about, Dagger and the other terms of of
Oh,
those.
is that the old
wedges.
dragon? Is that like a blue, black, green dragon?
No, Dago was like Mardu before Mardu was Mardu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah,
My
clearly.
nickel polish deck.
Yeah, so when Toshiro Umezawa is your Grixis. This is like an Umezawa deck. So basically this is a tempo deck that falls along the lines of the legacy deck. It's basically bug tempo, him to Turak and so on, and they call it Team America. And it's the same kind of principles. So you try to protect the queen. So you play a creature like a Tarmogoyf or one of the green trio, which I always rave about, Tarmogoyf, Hootie Mandrills, and Scavenging Ooze. They come down really early and you have a spell pierce to back it up and your opponent dies. It's a great philosophy. So shall we check out the game?
Let's get down to the game.
So this is Michael drawing his hand of, I think is that a mulligan to 6? 1, 2.
We're doing London mulligans this time around, just to mix it up. I was playing on MTGO and I didn't realise it was London mulligans, and I hit mull and it got me 7. I was like, oh, it's a glitch. I'll just keep mulling until I get the perfect hand. Down to 2. I was like, put back 5 cards. I was like, what?
What? Why do I have to put cards back? Yeah, the London mulligan's really sweet. This we'll see how it performs here because Michael's putting a card on the bottom there. So he is on 6. So for anyone who doesn't know it, basically, draw 7 and then put away equal to the number of mulligans you've taken, that number of cards on the bottom of your deck. So that is a Minimo School at Water's Edge.
Yeah, it's a good card. Untaps a legendary permanent. I think it's permanent or creature. I think it's permanent.
Oh, Thirst for Knowledge and Dak Faden in the hand. That sounds like it's a really nice situation. And Sword of the Meek.
Oh, yeah. What a good target. I mean, that's a classic combo, right? Thirsting away your Sword of the Meek and then getting a Thopter.
Perfect Z's.
Thopter
Foundry. Looks like that London mulligan has done work for him then. So, here we go. This is basically for the bug tempo deck where you want to be. You are on the play, you deploy a 2-drop, because the bug version, unlike the rug version, doesn't have as many 1-drops as at its disposal. Terramander is new, which is a nice change, but it hinges on its 2-drops, and Grim Flayer gets added to the pool of the green trio, making 4
it's
really,
like an
nasty boys.
almost Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, it's kind of gets 1 hit in whilst it's small, then becomes big, which is why when I was running bug tempo in the first instance, I ended up putting in Mishra's Urza's Bauble, whichever one the new one is, the Bauble, because I just wanted an artifact in the main deck, because turning on Delirium and pumping Tarmogoyf was quite often relevant, and the small amount of cycling was not,
there's some elegant ones
bad.
you can do. You can put in Planeswalkers and Courser of Crewfix, which is an enchantment, and stuff like that, which aren't too much of a stretch. But as we all know, you don't want to go too heavy, especially in Highlander when it's just a one-off.
Yeah, and Hootie and the Bugfish has next to...
it's not going to play Courser, is it?
Yeah, it's only got 2 3-drops. So Vendilion Click and True Name. And Vendilion Click is acceptable because you can do it at the end of their turn, and True Name is busted. So that's why you play that.
Psy Master Thopterus. I think Mike was also saying that this card performed very well. He's also got Tellurian Academy, which I think I haven't seen too much in Highlander. I know it's very present in a lot of the artifact-based decks, but
two points is hard, but it's because it's so good.
If you've ever played Vintage, though, you'll know its power level, especially Paradoxical Storm these days. It can get real crazy. Is it a legend? Does Minimo untap it?
It's a legendary land, so it can be untapped by Minimo. But here is Psy Master Thopterus. So Psy is really good at staunching the offense because it's a 1/4, and usually when you're a Thoptery type deck, you want the game to go longer because you're going to leverage just these advantage from cards that generate other forms of card advantage like Thopters, and Thopters that can be sacrificed to draw cards, and so on and so forth. So a 1/4 is actually really, really relevant. If it was Trinket Mage and it was 3 mana 2/2, it's actually probably worse than it being a 1/4 in the types of decks that you want it to be in.
Yeah, and I just confirm Minimo is permanent, so it does untap Tellurian Academy.
Untap Sai?
It does untap Sai. I don't think that's super relevant. He's a 1/4, right?
Oh, when you attack for 1, just to send him a message, then you untap him to block their 2/2. You got it. Combo's going. So, Ryan has all of his colours of mana. When you get double black in this deck, it's really good because you have access to your Hymn to Turak, your Tombstalker. It's really, really nice to have access to double black. And unlike the Rug version, it's very, very greedy. You know, it's got the Lilianas, it's got Hymn to Turak, it's got Flying Gurmag, Tombstalker, and you really, really do need access to double black. So the reason that Hootie and the Bugfish fell out of favour to some degree was because Rug Life was able to run moons in the board, and the moons just change certain matchups dramatically. But on the other hand, Hootie and the Bugfish has a raw power level in terms of 3-drops. You know, so many powerful 3-drops. 2 Lilianas, Vendilion Click, True Name Nemesis, and, you know, Tombstalker, Gurmag Angler. These kind of just guys that often come down as 3-drops early on in the game.
Why is this so dark, sir?
It looks like that Expedition map caused a blackout. So the Expedition map has a sweet altar on it with a skull and crossbones. And the Expedition map triggers Sai Master Thopterist, giving you a Thopter. And look at how much mana that Tellurian Academy produces, and don't tell me that's tell me that can't be a pointed card, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Is anyone saying it shouldn't be? Let's not get into politics. Won't talk politics here. Right?
Yeah, it's always just tricky because the artifact decks, they need a critical mass of pointed cards to just do busted things early on in the game, you know, on turn 1s and the like. But if you have them too low in points, then they get to free roll. You know, free rolling Mishra's Factory, for example, Mishra's Workshop, for example.
So Michael had a choice here to tap Tellurian Academy, then float blue with Minimo and untap it. But I like his play here. He's gone for the Thirst for Knowledge first, see if he hits another artifact and a blue land, and then he can untap it again, this time with more artifacts. So I prefer his play. It was a bit riskier, but he also gets a lot more information off the Thirst. It sort of worked out for him, not really. It was still an elegant turn, I think. So, yeah, I really like his play there. But that's why he was having a little bit of a think about whether or not he wanted to fire off the Thirst for Knowledge. And now I think he's got the sort of artifacts where that little Tellurian Academy, untapped Tellurian Academy is really good. And we know that he's got the cards in the deck to play with that sort of mana. You know, even if it's a ballista for... I'm not going to do the maths, you do the maths, but even if it's a ballista for pause and calculate how much it's going to be, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially against something like Bug Tempo.
For sure.
It's walking.
And this is a tricky situation. Time Walk...
Is that real talk?
Yeah. It's beauty.
Beautiful, yeah.
This is a really good example of leveraging Time Walk. He can't attack with the Grim Flayer because it will get killed by some tokens, and he won't get any value. But getting the additional turn means that he gets double the Planeswalker activations, making Lily Last Hope a lot closer to its ultimate.
Lily is doing the work. Killing two. It's not just killing 2 1/1s. They're 1/1 flyer artifacts, which we know are going to have some synergies with Tellurian Academy. And there's synergy there with Sword, if you can find a way to sack the Sword consistently.
That's assuming that you ever get another turn, because remember that the best combo in these decks, as Ryan did, was Time Walk, and then after that cast Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Then you go to your next turn, then you flip your Jace Vryn's Prodigy, and then you cast Time Walk again. So you stream together a bunch of turns. Now, can you see how good Sai was here? If Sai wasn't out, the Grim Flayer would have been able to make a series of attacks, trigger its Delirium eventually, and he would be pressuring the life total of Michael Hearn. But because Sai has been a 1/4 and generated a couple of buddies along the way, the actual attacking plan is really bad. So Ryan has identified that his path to victory is all about protecting his Planeswalkers and going ultimate with Lily.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be hard. I mean, Michael, as we know, he's got a lot of mana to play with. He's still got a few cards in hand. He just thirsts for knowledge. He's triggering, he's doing his things, but if he can't deal with Lily right here, right now, I think he might be a little stuck.
Yeah. Well, he has things like Spine of Ishsar in his deck and so on. So.
You can't.
Yeah.
No.
So, do you even count... Oh, I guess you do. Because the thing I'm worried about is if Michael... That was the bait spell. Because he's still got his Tolarian Academy ready to generate massive mana. And what if something comes down that actually affects the Liliana plan? What if it's like a Spine of Ishsar or something like that?
Yeah, but Mycosynthitis he can get from the sideboard, right? That
the combo.
combo thing. And then that will mean Lily's an artifact which cannot be activated. So I think it sort of does do it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, because Ryan doesn't necessarily want just one more turn and then plan to win on that next turn. He needs to actually survive an additional turn or two. So Lily's obviously going to ultimate, but he needs to survive a series of turns in order to actually win with the tokens.
That's right. It's not a mid-range grindfest where Lily is an auto win. She is a win, but it's not an automatic win. Michael's still got a lot of power level in his deck to be able to do some things with. And this is like a bit of a sad ballista, but it's a ballista that...
It's a necessary ballista, though.
It is a necessary ballista. It's a ballista that deals with Lily, delaying the Lily. And I'm not going to say delaying the inevitable, because it's not inevitable. Now that it's going to take Ryan another turn, Michael's developing...
And then the Thopters attack Lily. So actually, he's going to be taken off this plan. And wow, Sai has just pulled so much weight this game, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lily will probably go up on Ballista, and then Jace will go up on a 1/1, but Lily's going to stay at that 6 to 7, never being able to ultimate. He's found a pretty good answer there. It's equivalent to like a hasty thing. And Ballista's really, really sweet. Yeah. He's not going to be able to untap with a Ballista, which is a bit of a shame, because he could untap and put some counters on and get ahead. But
yeah. So Lily just kills the Ballista, so he can't untap and just have 3 counters on it or something.
That's right. What other interesting lands has Michael got now that he's gotten his Tolarian out? Because he's still got that map in play. Yeah,
so he can search the deck for a few things, but he's actually got his fanciest of lands out already. Amongst the other lands you could find are Academy Ruins, which will give him access to anything in the bin if he needs it.
Oh, there'll be a Ballista there soon.
Yeah. He's also got an Inventor's Fair, which is a nice find. Oh, here's Fatal Push. Fatal Push on Sai is really, really important here, right? But it's probably 1 turn too late. And I think it's likely that Ryan probably found the Fatal Push off the gush.
Yeah.
And note that the Revolt is triggered by something leaving play. So oftentimes you can trigger it off, a Sensei's Divining Top or something leaving play. But here the gush had 2 islands leave play. So there's the Strip Mine. Strip Mine down to 1 point now to promote these tempo and aggro decks. And as you can see, it's doing work there. It actually shuts off 2 points in Michael's deck after it's done a bit of work, but so be it. The inevitability is still there for Lily Last Hope.
Well, the other thing is, forget about the fact that Lily might not be able to ultimate anytime soon. It's still going to do work going up ticking, and Michael's going to have to start thinking about... Michael's investing a lot of resources trying to deal with the Lily. Last time was the perfect example, playing Ballista. He wasn't able to do an amazing Ballista because he had to do an emergency Ballista. So, I actually think Ryan might be pulling ahead here. And was that a 4 power toughness Grim?
So the Grimflayer was not delirious yet. He had sorcery, instant land in the graveyard, but no creature yet. However, look at the power of Grimflayer. It connected. It dealt its 2 damage. There's temptation there for Michael to throw the 2 Thopters on it just to prevent that trigger. But he's got a Sword of the Meek and he wants to go
although Jace might have gone up on one of the Thopters as well.
Yeah, actually Jace went up on one, so he couldn't actually block. You're absolutely right there. But when Grimflayer hit, then the trigger occurs and Ryan looked at the top 3 cards. Guess what the top 3 cards are?
Were they any good?
3 fetch lands.
Worth keeping?
Chuck all 3 in the bin. Look at the power level of that effect. It's obviously not as good as Tarmogoyf in the early game, but in the late game, when it's just a 4/4 that tramples over. Yeah. And so, when I was building Hootie and the Bugfish, I had in my mind very, very clearly the fear of True Name Nemesis, because True Name Nemesis just shuts down aggro decks and shuts down tempo decks really, really easily.
Oh, it does deal quite nice. It only doesn't deal with Ternan, but Yeah,
But it's just like same as Hootie himself. Grimflayer is a 4/4 trample that deals 3 damage to your opponent. Because even if they block with the true name, they're taking 3, and they can't kill the creature.
So Michael obviously doesn't have heaps to do because he's equipped the 1/1/2 Sword of the Meek. He's searching for a land now. Inventor's Fair, okay, it's a bit desperation. Gain a bit of life, sack it. It's going to be too slow, but it's probably the best he's got, and he's utilising his mana, and he's doing it now main phase to play land this turn, so that if he untaps Rip's land, he's got more mana to play with. But, you know, it's looking a bit dire for Michael. I'm really liking Ryan's position here.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, he didn't have that many interesting... look at that. Assassin's Trophy. So Assassin's Trophy, and remembering that obviously these artifact decks almost never have any basics. If they're lucky, they can have an island. Or a waste if they're running Thought-Knot Seer and the like. But Assassin's Trophy there is a bit of a heads-up play to deny the life gain. So simply going, you're not going to gain an extra life and you're not going to be able to find an answer to your situation. Even if it is a slow answer, he's just turning the screws, just putting the screws in.
Yep, and he hasn't done it on the sword because Jace deals with the Thopter. That sword gives +1/+2. So
Yep. Jace
deals with the Thopter that's already equipped. And putting it in the bin doesn't do a whole lot because... there's a decent chance Mike will be able to get it out of the bin. It works with Thopter Foundry. If you don't know, it's a combo that works once Sword is in the bin. So, you know, it's a bit risky play. And I was there umming and erring about that Assassin's Trophy. He's obviously... Ryan wants to be mana efficient, and that's why he's done it. But I was like, I don't know. You know, Inventor's Fair isn't really a threat, but he's sort of treated it like a Stone Rain. He must have been pretty confident there's no basics. I would have thought maybe there's one basic for exactly... you know, Path or Field of Ruin or something.
It's possible, but Big Tezz's Robot Emporium is pretty greedy.
It sounds
so 3
greedy.
colours and colourless, you know, it's quite tricky. So this, I think, was basically Ryan's recognition that he's going to lock the game up within basically 2 turns because he knew he had the Tombstalker ready to go, or he ponded for the Tombstalker.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's not a controlled deck, so keeping up Assassin's Trophy for a real threat is probably what I personally would have done, but I can see he wants to be mana efficient. He wants to Tombstalker in the following turn. Like, I like having Assassin's Trophy right here for this guy. But, you know, the path that he's gone down now, you know, he's able to pressure these with his creature, and as you say, pressure the life total, and maybe he's scared of the more mana Michael has, the more he's going to be able to do dumb things with. So. And
given that Michael is on Tribal Thopters, the Lily Last Hope has just been a powerhouse, hasn't it? Just powering through all those little blockers, because normally...
Is that 5 mana? Is that Tezz Seeker?
Yeah. That's Tezz, new Tezz.
Tezz make Thopters draw cards?
It's like Corsept Tezz.
Yeah,
make I think you either get to draw 2 cards if you got Metalcraft.
Thopter Man.
Yeah.
Which is not good against Lily.
No, it's pretty bad.
I mean, Lily's a 3 mana Planeswalker that's just powering through this board.
This game exemplifies the draw card to playing Hootie and the Bugfish over Ruglife because of the power of the 3-drop slot. Whereas Ruglife is built very, very differently. It's very low to the ground. And Hootie and the Bugfish can grind that little bit better. And as you can see, it's just you know, firing on all cylinders here.
And we can he's chosen to go up, which is fine. But I was even thinking there might be something like a cantrip from Jace there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind going neg find cantrip because there's no pressure really to kill Jace. Jace doesn't have a great ultimate, and I think it's 9 ultimate, so it's not really something you're going to do. So basically you're fanging for that snap ability, the flashback ability.
Snap ability, flashback to reality. We have a situation where Grimflayer has not actually flipped. I don't know if flip is the right term, because there hasn't been a creature in the bin. And this happens very rarely, and this is a perfect example of that situation, because when your opponent's on a combo deck, they almost never interact with your creatures, whereas every other deck in Highlander, if you're the tempo deck, you can expect someone's going to fatal push one of your creatures, lightning bolt another creature, or whatever it is. They're going to do something to one of your creatures. You fight a little counter war over it. You lose that counter war, but then you slam your Grimflayer and go to town. This is a big problem.
Yeah. And this is why I think I personally would have kept Trophy. I mean, Arguably, Wormcoil could come down the turn before, but I don't actually mind. I know you get value off of the trigger from Wormcoil, and I'm sure Michael would be not too unhappy with the trophy on Wormcoil, but if I'm Ryan here, I'm happy to Wormcoil Assassin's Trophy Wormcoil. He gets 3/3s. I've got a 5/5.
There's an even better solution.
I can neg with the Jace, etc.
There's an even better solution to that. Flashback Assassin's Trophy, because he knew that he had Jace Vryn's Prodigy anyway. And then what you do is you Lily the lifelink one, so that it's only 1 power, so they're only going to gain 1 life.
Well, they're both neg 2, right? Jace ups.
Oh, no, Jace has to go down
Jace,
to
of
do
course,
it.
Yeah. But you've got the 5/5 as well.
And you've got another strategy, and that is, even without the Assassin's Trophy, Jace Vryn's Prodigy and Lily Last Hope both go up on the 6/6 Wormcoil. They make it a 2/3 or something like that, or 2/4, and its lifelink is irrelevant, and you just fly over the top with the Tombstalker.
I do like swing Tombstalker to kill the guy there. And you know, if the game does stall, you know, Ryan can get there with the Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
So I don't mind the life gain denial though, because you're putting a clock on Michael. Now Michael's got to deal with, I've got to protect my life total and I'm losing value on board. Like, it's the double whammy. But that Lily Ultimate is still a threat.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel like you just snap it off straight away.
Yeah, so he's got a Death Touch and a Lifelink token, and we can assume the Lifelink token is like a 1/2, and the Death Touch token is still a 3/3. So sending both of these at Lily just to try and reduce its loyalty is not a surefire. Oh.
New Saheeli. I believe it's like a young pyromancer. It will make a token when you cast an instant or sorcery.
It's actually like a mentor. It makes a token for non-creature.
Ah.
Yeah, it's really good. Really, really good. A couple of those uncommon planeswalkers have been proving quite good in Highlander, like New Saheeli,
This is like day 2 War of the Spark.
Yeah, this is literally the day after the pre-releases of War of the Spark.
So a lot of players, me included, just like hadn't wrapped my head around War of the Spark yet, so I didn't include any of the cards. But
I think I was rocking like 3 War of the Spark cards or something, 2 or 3 of them. They were so good. War of the Spark has been very kind to Highlander. And the good thing about the AE events is because we were like, hey, War of the Spark, and by the way, because you have access to proxies, you can proxy up the things. Because I didn't actually own Teferi Time Raveler. I don't own that because it's been out for 1 day, literally one night. Even this is the day after a midnight pre-release. You're going to be really, really hard pressed to actually get a hold of those cards. So yeah, a few people will be proxying up all those War of the Spark cards, but the sweet aspect is both of these decks are just, firing on all cylinders in terms of pimp level. Black Border, Badlands down the bottom there, foil, original Mercadian Masks, Gush. It's just delicious, isn't it?
Yeah, and what is Saheeli's actual neg ability?
Something, copy an artifact you control. So like a creature you control becomes a copy of an artifact you control.
Oh, does it turn it into a creature?
If the thing is copying is a creature. Yeah, so he's basically going, my Sword of the Meek is a Wormcoil Death Touch token or a Wormcoil Lifelink token.
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a pretty sweet ability, because what happens is not many of those new War of the Spark planeswalkers have the ability to constantly synergize between their static and activated ability, whereas Saheeli does exactly that. Its static ability creates creatures. Then its activated ability makes creatures into copies of artifacts and creatures, or artifacts into copies of artifacts, whatever it is. And the two of those things work together really well. And that's a lot to ask for a 3-mana planeswalker that's a hybrid mana. It's very, very good.
So Michael's actually putting it, there's not really great blocks here. He's got a decent block on the one that Lily went up on. That's a trade. It's fine.
Yeah. He gets to eat the lifelink token with the Grim Flayer.
Yeah.
And then Lily will end up taking 6 damage.
Yeah, and Michael will also stabilize his life. So the Tombstalker can no longer race. It's just a value stalker.
Yeah, value stalker.
Because it kills planeswalkers and blocks 3/3s.
Yep.
Okay, so am I missing something? Was Grimflayer at 4/4?
No, Grimflayer's a 2/2, but remember the lifelink token was a 1/2.
Oh, it's a 1/2, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So basically the 6 power crunches in on Lily, and it looks like the Sword of the Meek was copying the lifelink token, so he gained 3 life. Is that right? Because he was on 13 before.
Or was he on 12? He gained 4 life.
4 life, okay.
He got 1 damage in from the 1/2.
Yes, gains 4 life. That's right.
Do you think maybe you don't swing the 1/2? You just swing with the 3/3s into a 2/2? Keep back a 1/2 lifelinker?
It's potentially the case, but I guess the way that he did it was he was going...
Oh, no, because then...
You better block otherwise.
Because then Shaman can chump and Grimflayer can chump and you ultimate Lily. So you lose both your creatures.
You have to swing with everyone.
You have really bad blocks, but then you ultimate Lily.
Yeah.
So I can see Michael's logic there. Yeah.
For sure.
It gives Ryan really good blocks, but the Lily at least dies. So that's reasonable, yeah.
Yep, makes sense. So Jace Vryn's Prodigy is finally going away, and this is very important. So
it's a ballsy move. I like it.
I think it's ballsy, but it's actually very good.
I agree.
First of all, the Fatal Push was important, but most importantly...
Ryan's identified this as a really important turn.
Yeah, so creature goes to the graveyard, which makes Grimflayer a 4/4, allowing him to kill Saheeli.
And now look at the board. So, yeah, it can feel bad, especially when you protect your Planeswalkers, with blocks, and you put all this work into these Planeswalkers, and then just to kill them, and you think, oh, I could eke one more, Lily, Last Hope's a really good example. Like, oh, if I tick it up to 8 and then neg 7, I can keep it around.
Agreed.
But, it's generally always correct to just say, no, be disciplined.
Ultimate.
This will win. Just do it. And I really like that. It's a disciplined play, an all-in play. But look at the board state now.
Yeah, I think that if Grimflayer wasn't out, then the temptation to just up the Jace Vryn's Prodigy up to 4, so that the next time he does -3 the following turn he keeps the Jace Vryn's Prodigy, would have been a very, very tempting play.
It's always going to be tough to block a Death Toucher as well.
It's mainly because of the fact that putting the 4th card type into the bin, because your combo opponent refuses...
it's a critter, isn't it?
Yeah, so that was the main thing. That's what I was saying, how it's actively good to put the Jace in the bin.
Yeah.
And then have Delirium.
Karn Artifact, man. Getting a mana
Karn
leak.
now. Karn
Yuck.
here is going to go to the graveyard. Mana Leak, always brutal.
Yeah, and did he play... Is it Signet? If he didn't play Signet, he would have been able to do it. Not that I think it's a misplay from Michael. It just happened to be Mana Leak. But it's a bit annoying for Mike. He was like, I wish I didn't play that Signet.
Well, hypothetically, it wouldn't have had any
it makes
effect,
a pretty big...
because Karn will just make a 1/1, which is actually more like a 5/5 or something like that. But if it's anything less than a 4/4, that Grimflayer is going to come through. Either way...
I'm trying to think how many there were. There was Sword of the Meek, it itself...
It doesn't matter, there's no answer to Deathrite Shaman draining for 2 and then attacking with flying for 5 anyway, so it's probably...
It was going up.
Didn't even matter.
Yeah, I'll play that.
It was just going to go up and find something.
Yep. So going to sideboards, let's have a look at Michael.
Mm-hmm.
He's got in his board, what has he got?
So in Michael's sideboard, he's got basically bits and pieces that hedge on certain matchups. So Padeem, Console of Innovation, is really good in the control matchup because 1, it protects all your artifacts. 2, it generates card advantage. There is. It sounded like I was going to say 3, but that's really it. It's also decent against certain decks that put pressure on, like this situation, because it's a 1/4 as well, I think. And you saw how much work that 1/4 did, right? Just it slowed the game down, allowed him to generate advantage. It didn't work out in the end, but it was exactly the recipe that Michael wanted to cook up. So Padeem might come in here because, hey, who wants to get your big bad boy Assassin's Trophied? Padeem will stop that happening.
I really like this sideboard. I would need a sideboard plan if I was going to play this because it's a bit of a headache for me. He's got like Thought Not Seer in there, and there's some pretty obvious ones such as Naha Spellbomb, Hydra Blast, Defense Grid, Batterskull. But there's some other complicated ones.
Sphinx of the Steel Wind is pretty sweet because as a tinker target, it's the kind of thing that you just go, hey, I've got protection from your things. Like, Assassin's Trophy doesn't kill this.
But why is that in the sideboard, not in the main board?
I think it's because it doesn't win the game. So what his main deck is trying to do is go, here's a Blightsteel Colossus, you don't have an answer, you lose. But then post-board, he can go, hey, I need to grind, I'm going to take out the Blightsteel, and I'm going to put in the Sphinx of the
Pretty
Steel.
good versus sideboard Ancient Grudges, because it's got pro-red, pro-green.
Yeah, people are actively bringing in these kind of removal spells.
The other card I really like in Muggles was Giripa Ether Grid. That is going to get some people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And Girapur Ether Grid against aggro is pretty backbreaking, right? Like, it just
I was thinking there for control. Because you just get to go, like, bang every turn, you know, almost like a Koth ultimate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, in mid-range as well, I think it's good against anything that's not combo, basically, which is a lot of the meta right now.
So I think he specifically said this to me because Michael and I played in round 3 or 4, I think it was. And as a note to everyone at home, this is actually round 2, I think. So we'll be recording our round 1 and putting that first, and we'll put an explanation in round 1 to say, hey, this is round 1, because I just remembered this is actually round 2. Anyway, the what I was going to say was in round 3 when we were playing, or round 4, he said that Girapur Ether Grid is specifically in for the fact that he loses to Nullrod. All right, so he took out Engineered Explosive, Dak Faden, and did you catch the other card? Staff of Nin.
And he put in Padim.
Yeah, so bring the Padim. All right, sweet.
It was 3 for 3, obviously, but Padim, I'm not sure what the others were.
Well, the Girapur Ether Grid, what he was saying is, like, he loses to Nullrod. People bring in Stony Silence and Nullrod and go, hey, here you go. But Girapur Ether Grid is an enchantment, so the activated abilities of the enchantment, you can still tap your artifacts to deal damage. And against the control decks that, you have this in Vintage a lot, where you mulligan heavily to find your ley line or whatever it is, you do the thing, and all the other deck needs to do is just have some kind of, Hollow One or some other kind of alternate plan that you just weren't prepared for, and the game goes really long because you mulligan so heavily, and then they just get you. So if a game goes long, you'll just get them with the Ether Grid.
Well, it reminds me of this chat about the London Mulligan, and let's just look at the hands. Tinker, land, and an artifact, 2-mana talisman.
Daretti, Academy Ruins. So looks like a really nice blend of mana and a threat.
He's got to be careful with the Tinker though, because Ryan's got some soft permission in there, and it might not be appropriate to fire that off turn 3.
What I would most likely do is land pass, next turn land and your rock pass, and then the next turn play Daretti. Daretti probably eats something. Okay. But remember that in the early parts of the game, a tempo deck cannot just play a land and go, I've got a Spell Pierce, and the next turn play a land, I've got a Mana Leak. That's not how tempo works. Tempo will be playing its counter spells much later in the game to simply protect the queen. So he needs to actually play queens to actually win with them.
That's right, but the rock doesn't increase the time of the Tinker. It just creates a sacrifice target. I think if Ryan taps out, it's probably worth going for the Tinker.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no.
There's a Time Walk True Name Nemesis hand. So.
Yeah, with 2 lands. It seemed a little bit didn't blow me away, but it's definitely a keeper.
Ideal hand, but
definitely
it's
a keeper.
Fine. Yeah, perfectly fine.
They both had 7, right? Or have I missed something?
No, Ryan's on a multi 6.
Okay.
So, yeah, here's what. Yeah, so that was Expedition Map turn 1, and then a Talisman of Thingo turn 2. So that Talisman of something mean, probably. Because like black, blue.
Oh, yeah, and there's a land, and I think it's a Faithless Looting? Or am I seeing things? Maybe it's Goblin Welder, because Goblin Welder looks quite similar.
Yeah, it's definitely Faithless Looting, Tinker, Daretti. Those are 3 cards I can make out.
Yeah. No, I really like that Girapur.
So technically, this can't be fetched. It's probably going to be a tropical island, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Bayou. Bayou or Trop. He could have got Bayou there, right?
Yeah, it's probably meant to be a Bayou. Either way, looks like the players haven't caught on it, so we'll just continue. We'll just imagine it. We'll imagine that was not Windswept Heath; it was a different one, and just go along with the game. There's no table friend here to go and assist them. So Daretti and Bloodstained Mire. So that means Tinker is still in hand, and Ryan is tapped out. So right. I'm feeling like this is going to be a very quick game.
Yeah, I really like Blightsteel Colossus win turn next turn.
Yeah, seems fine.
Win next turn.
Is there any downside? No, you just get the
You could get Sundering Titan, I suppose, and eat both lands.
Yeah, Sundering Titan's pretty disgusting.
It's like it's like a bit less all in because if he can deal with the Sundering Titan, I don't know how. Like,
yeah,
Fatal Push doesn't get it.
Basically, you're just worried about Vapor Snag, right?
Yeah.
The deck doesn't play Vapor Snag, but it's the kind of thing that tempo decks do play. And if they did play it, how would you get blown out? So in your mind, you're like, okay, how do I get blown out? All right, so I'll just tinker for the thing that makes me assured to win the game.
There's not going to be too many wrong answers here.
Yeah.
But
there's Sunday.
There's Sunday. I like Sunday as well because Sunday's going to do the job in 3 turns as opposed to 1. But there's 2 less mana to play with to find an answer.
So hypothetically, if he went Tropical Island, Vapor Snag, you're going to feel really, really bad. But either he will lose his Tropical Island, right? Because it's Leaves Play. Is it Leaves Play or Dies?
For Sundering?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it's Leaves Play.
Yeah, so then...
But I'm guessing.
You'll get pretty wrecked. But anyway...
Game 3.
It's largely moot. You know, you kind of go through all the possible... You know, how do I lose? When you're that far ahead, you kind of have to think to yourself, how do I lose? And I'm going to try and play around that thing. And even if there was a Vapor Snag, it still probably wouldn't lose because it's just kind of triple Stone Rained.
That's right. We didn't get a chance to look at Ryan's sideboard in the last game, so we'll take this opportunity to get him up on screen.
So
it's a really nice sideboard. I mean, they're great colours for sideboards, right? You've got your Hydros, your Fluster, your Duress, Dark Blast, Carpenter Flare. It's such a nice, eclectic range of cards.
Green has great sideboard cards, red has great sideboard cards, and white has great sideboard cards in Highlander. They're just a great set of colours. And so as long as you've got access to one of them, you're pretty happy. And the green cards here in the form of Carpet of Flowers, not in this matchup, but in general.
There's a lot of blue, but there's actually not that many islands. Trigon Predator's definitely coming in.
You're very heavy on black in Hootie and the Bugfish.
Yeah, and maybe Duress and Engineered Explosives.
You don't want to over sideboard too much.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So sometimes when you're on the play, you bring in Duress, and then when you're on the draw, you definitely don't bring it in.
I think definitely Trigon, though. So
there's Trigon. Oof, Trigon is going to do some work. So that's a Transmute Artifact, a Grim Monolith, a Walking Ballista, some land. Do you see anything else?
On Michael's side?
Yeah.
Yeah, that all City of Traders is going for it. Okay.
Yeah, City of Traders and
Tezz. It's pretty easy, I think, to know that you've got to keep with a hand like Michael, because it's the same lands and spells, mana and spells, but like knowing exactly how it's going to play out, if it's a Buster Runesky hand or if it's just a fine hand, that takes a little bit of practice, and we're not going to get it off 2 seconds of a flash. But I think it was decent.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks good to me. Like any game where you're starting off being able to play a 6-drop on turn 2, you're pretty happy, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he could even... It's not unfathomable for him to just go Ancient Tomb, float 2 off City, Ancient Tomb. You know,
this is a heads-up play here.
Yeah,
so Abrupt Decay is actually not very good against Tezz's Emporium because they're all big. Everything is big, and he's even taken out Dak Vaden. Like, there's so many big things. So you have very few targets, but especially when your opponent plays Busted Mana on turn 1, and the other card they chose to play it off was Busted Mana that's going to die. So like as soon as he plays a land, it's going to go away. The Abrupt Decay on Grim Monolith is way more punishing than it even looks.
Because Michael would have held the City of Traders for as long as he could.
Yeah.
Except because he had the Grim Monolith, he was like, I'm going to have a Buster Runesky's turn 2, and I'm just going to ask the question. And I like Michael's play a lot, you know, saying, have you got interaction? And even if you have interaction, you're not playing a threat. You know, it's not ideal if it gets Abrupt Decay, but you probably don't have it. Here it is. I'm going to win the game, you know, by applying a really, really big thing on turn 2, i.e. a massive Ballista. And he got a bit unlucky there that it got Abrupt Decay. I don't like using the term unlucky too much, but he got punished, I guess.
I've got a big question for you.
Shoot.
Do you play Trigon Predator or True Name Nemesis on turn 3?
Smoochies. I play Trigon, I think. But I don't think it's incorrect to just get down True Name and ask the question.
Oh, yeah. Because the True Name is just going to turn sideways and going to kill your opponent real quick.
Yeah. But Trigon eats the Great Furnace. And the longer you wait with Trigon, like, that's not entirely true. It's not irrelevant later. But
yeah, I think I would be really tempted to play the Trigon.
I think I would, but I certainly don't think it's wrong from Ryan at all.
For sure.
it's a very natural thing for Timbo to go, here's turn 3, you've got this many turns left.
Here's turn 3 Sulfuric Vortex that deals 3, and it's only to you, not to me. That's right. And could choose to stop at any time and block anything.
And he's Trigon anyway.
Yeah. Yep. So...
Transmute Artifact's a good card, though. You can see now, I'm looking at it, his hand would have been schmootsies. He would have gone Thran Dynamo into, like, Transmute Artifact for most of his deck. And is that what is that?
That's the Lightning Greaves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The card I was talking about. It's not really doing much here.
No, it's not going to do much at all. So, yeah, the Abrupt Decay was definitely the winning play. So, here's a massive crunch in. Massive swing.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, this is the old, you're going to die next turn. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, is that another 8? Yes.
Yep. Definitely hitting that Great Furnace. It's not so Great Furnace.
I think there's basically nothing.
I think there's no outs, yeah. Yep. But that's a good game.
Quick one. Quick 2. Because game 2 from Michael was quick as well.
Yeah, this was great to see combo versus tempo.
Yeah.
So hopefully you enjoyed watching a little bit of combo versus tempo there. We are Adelaide Eternal, and we'll be back with you in round 3, I believe, which will be coming up next.
See you then, guys.